I was sitting around doing nothing, eating some snacks, watching some YouTube stuff. Next thing you know, I look at my phone. It's full of a bunch of notifications, stuff from YouTube and Tumblr and whatnot. But then I look carefully and I see a news article. And whenever a news article pops up on my phone, on rare occasions, I'm like, ah, that should be interesting. Then I look at the title and it says Stan Lee. And I'm like, ooh, something happened to Stan Lee. I'm like, I love Stan Lee. I'll give it a check. I click on it and it shows that Stan Lee has died. To me, Stan Lee was inspiration. He was a man of humility. He would make his fans happy. When he saw him, he wasn't going to be a jerk. He'd always be kind to him. The stories were wonderful. I'm 18, and I remember seeing Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. My memories go back to about 5, maybe older, and I never had the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2008. I didn't have it until 2008, and all I had were those ones that companies happened to own. Daredevil, Blade. Like most people, I started with Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi trilogy. Uh, I always thought the first Spider-Man was stupid. I mean, I liked it, but it was just stupid. I could never take it seriously. Even back then, when Spider-Man jumped on those weird ass CGI parade float balloons, just like that just doesn't look right. Raimi's first Spider-Man trilogy, when he did those montages, that was probably the best looking part of the film. Everything else is just like, I was a kid, my attention span was short, and it was hard to enjoy it sometimes, but I enjoyed it. Then there was Spider-Man 2. That was pretty forgettable. But Spider-Man 3, now, that was when my mind was more developed. I could pay attention more, and it was a weird one. Seeing Spider-Man be evil. And I also played the Spider-Man games, so seeing him in his black suit was like, oh, that's awesome. I don't care if it's just his normal suit, but painted black. I'm just like, yeah, yeah, that's cool. May be lazy and cheap, but it's something. Then when there was 2008, we went to see Iron Man. It was fun. It was a blast. I remember what happened in the movie. It was fun. The first half was boring but entertaining. I understood none of it because I was too young to understand social media and taking pictures and phones and whatnot. But it was still fun. Next thing you know, enjoying that enjoyment ended with Tony being bombed and kidnapped. Then the flashback to him just surviving and whatnot. It's just something else. And when he put on his first suit of armor, that was just wow. That was an experience. Just seeing him be see the creation that Stanley made come to life was just something. And I remember when I'd see Stanley cameo, I'd be like, it's when I saw his first cameo in Spider-Man, I was like, that's an old guy. I don't know if he matters, but he sticks out to me. Next thing you know, 2008, I didn't even notice his cameo in the 2008 Iron Man. Didn't even see him. I guess I just dozed off for a minute. Next thing you know, I miss him being an old guy in a robe. You know, it's weird how many times he's been an old rich guy in a robe. I think 2 or 3 times. More than need be, if you ask me. Me, when it came to my comic book experience with Stan Lee, it was always the movies. If it wasn't the Raimi trilogy, if it wasn't Blade or Daredevil, not the Netflix stuff, but the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck, that movie confused the hell out of me. That Daredevil movie. The scene with Elektra and those bags in the air was just like incredibly confusing. It's just like that was the most memorable part of that film, just seeing Elektra mess around with those bags, stabbing them, whatnot. I'm just like, what does this mean? Just like what am I witnessing? What am I looking at? Why am I looking at this? I am confused. And mind you, then there was Thor. Thor was very forgettable. I don't even think we saw it in theaters. But when we saw those that after credit scene with Iron Man, we were dedicated when it came to the Iron Man films. We saw the first Iron Man theaters, second Iron Man theaters, the third one in theaters, I think. But and seeing Stan Lee was a weird treat. But once I figured out who he was, what he was, I remember the old Spider-Man cartoon and like the one with the weird CG city and Spider-Man swinging around. It never looked right, but I enjoyed it. Then there was that DVD I owned of that movie. And then there was the Spider-Man X-Men crossover that I saw, and my brother showed me on like FedEx or whatever, and I was just like, wow. And, mesmerizing. I barely saw any of it. I didn't get to see the part where Wolverine fought Spider-Man, but I got to see Spider-Man work with the X-Men. Did I say Avengers? I meant X-Men. I feel like I said Avengers for some reason. I meant X-Men. And the best part was sharing it with my brother. Me and him. He was born in like the 90s, sort of. He's like 20 something, late 90s, and he was a true comic book nerd. I remember the most valuable item he owned was a comic book of one of the Cable comics in mint condition, signed by the creator, not Stan Lee, but the creator Cable. I forget who it was, but clearly not Stan Lee. And he treasured it. He pinned it to the wall. He didn't pin it to the wall. He just sort of did a clever thing with thumbtacks where he just kept it stuck on the wall. In life, everything changes, but the most consistent thing I had in my life was Marvel. The movies, the cartoons, the games. One of the most recent experiences, there was a point where I fell out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a bit. I remember seeing the Avengers. It was just like, wow, and what the hell, and why do I love this? I love this, and I don't even know these characters that well, but I loved it. I loved it. I loved that shit, man. And then Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. That was okay. That was, I forgot a lot of what happened in that, but something to do with evil robot. I know it's Ultron and whatnot, but it's just like, yeah, I forget what's happening. I forget. I completely missed and forgot the part where Hawkeye and Quicksilver didn't see that coming, didn't see that coming, didn't see that coming, didn't see that coming. When he got shot and he was like, didn't see that coming, fell over. That was a bit too dramatic. Didn't he get shot in like the thigh? I don't think it was the chest, or was it the chest? And then I fell out of the movies for a while after Age of Ultron. I was like, I need a break. But then I decided to hop back on with Thor Ragnarok. I didn't see Black Panther, but I didn't see it in theaters, but I did see it at home, and I was like, wow, this is in fact a movie. It is an average movie, and I was not really all that intrigued by it. I mean, I guess it's a good movie if you're focusing on the aspect of the fact that it's like a mainly black cast. I mean, in terms of an actual movie, it's just like it shows the character, I guess. I remember that if it wasn't Thor that I 100% ignored, it would have to be Captain America. I never saw the first Captain America, or I did at home, but I fell asleep to it. Then there was Captain America, Winter Soldier, and I forget what happened in that vaguely. And then there was Civil War, and guess which part of that movie I remember? The part where they're all fighting, and Spider-Man jumps in. He's like, "Whoa, what up, bitches? I'm finally in the trilogy, so stop yammering." At this point, I'm just saying why I love. I forgot why I'm even all the things he created in this modern age. I got to experience the different adaptations, how it can be created. I was inspired to create. I remember I'd be like, wow, look at all these heroes. I wonder if I could be a hero like that one day. Now I'm just like, can I create heroes like that one day? Because sometimes inspiration is the best thing to create. And now I'm going to have to wear this shirt tomorrow just because in memory of Stan. In memory. If you can tell, this is my first and only take. Good old Spider-Man t-shirt. But if we all know one thing, Stan's not dead. He just went through a portal into a new realm, telling a bunch of watchers his experience in this world. Thank you for watching. Rest in peace, Stanley.